What's up YouTube? This is the Wisco Boater channel. My name is Chad and today I'm going to start working on removing the hatch to work on restoring them over the winter. All right, looking at the hatch, you can see how crazed it is. It's nice and smooth on the inside. The crazing is on the outside. I also want to probably get some new butyl rubber, I think is probably what this stuff is, and scrape that out and put a new fillet around, just clean it up nicely. The window could use the whole hatch could use a good cleaning anyway. So let me get the hatch opened here, and I can't do the camera and open it at the same time because there are no hinges on it. I took those off already. They were both broken. I do have new gas struts right there that will go in their place, but I'm gonna take the window out and take it home to do the refinishing. Got the hatch back at the house now, and you can see a little bit better in this light than you could when it was on the boat how crazed this lens is. They call this a lens. So what I'm going to do is remove this lens and then source a new piece of acrylic or Lexan or whatever it is. The weird thing about this is it's crazed, but it's totally smooth on the top and it's totally smooth on the bottom. I'm just going to use this as a template for the new lens when I source it. So first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use this. This is like a little plastic tire tool. I think I'm going to go around and try and get this whatever this stuff is, and I'll go around the perimeter getting that off, and then we'll flip it over, use an X-Acto knife or blade of some sort, and cut into the rubber seal that's on the top, and should be able to just pop the lens out. So it's not really that difficult of a process. This is a very expensive hatch. It's a Bomar. You can see it's upside down there. These go new. To replace these are $1,700 to $2,200, and obviously don't want to buy a new hatch. So just gonna replace the lens. Hopefully I can do that for about $40. There we go. Okay, we're on the other side now, and I'm just gonna run a blade around the perimeter, and hopefully this will just release underneath, and we'll just pop this old lens out. Okay, I think I'm all the way back around. So now, should be able to just, yep, try that. There we go. Got the lens out. I don't know. I mean, the more I look at this, it almost might be originally designed this way with this crazing. Maybe to give some privacy or something. I mean, it's so smooth on both sides that it doesn't feel crazed. I mean, I know what UV rays do to Lexan over time. Typically, it gets a kind of a rough, scratchy finish, and the crazing is on the outside. Sometimes you can actually polish it back to shiny, but I don't know. This is weird. Either way, I don't like it. I want just a regular smoked gray or brown tinted piece of acrylic. It looks a little nicer than this one. It's pretty messy and gross. So, all right, well, I'm gonna clean up the frame, and I've got my piece. I'll get the rest of the black sealant off of this so I can use this as a template to cut a new piece. Should be fairly simple. I say that. Probably shouldn't have said that. All right, I've got about, not quite half of this removed already, but I thought I'd go ahead and show you how I'm doing this, because this actually I do believe is butyl rubber now that I am messing around with it. So you got butyl rubber here that it seals the window to the frame, and then between the lens and the frame there's this rubber like silicone kind of stuff. So there's two different materials here. So what I've been doing is taking a screwdriver and just kind of jabbing it around the groove. And there's a little groove inside here that I can get the screwdriver down inside. And being careful not to let it slip and then stab my hand over here. I'll pull that up and then come back and kind of just plow it with a screwdriver. Okay, then I'm taking a little scraper blade and just running it along the edge here to pop this off. Okay. That's really all there is to it. I've got everything trimmed off of the old piece here, so we'll set that aside. It says I think Nebo hatches, N-I-B-O, and then I don't know, I'll have to look that up. I've got the bedding for the lens pretty much cleaned up as best I can without putting some MEK or acetone down, which I'll probably do tomorrow. It is late October. I honestly don't even know what the date is. Let's see here. It's the 27th, okay. And garage door's open. It's getting a little chilly, so I'm gonna go inside and we'll work on this tomorrow. I do have garage heater. Get this cleaned up the rest of the way. I'm gonna go inside and research lenses and get a replacement ordered. Okay, we're going to continue cleaning up the edges, well, the base of where the lens sits. And I am using MEK substitute, this stuff right here, since I don't think you can get MEK anywhere anymore. So this is the MEK substitute. It smells exactly like MEK. Seems to basically do the exact same job that MEK does. But for some reason it's maybe deemed less dangerous, I don't know. But you can see it's taking this stuff right off. Super easy. I hope these gloves fare okay. These are, don't tell Brittany, these are her gloves. Whew. This stuff is potent. I do have my overhead heater turned off right now because of the fumes coming out of that can and off of this surface that I'm cleaning. These gloves seem to be fairly impervious to this stuff. I've got the vertical surface all cleaned up as well, because I'm going to use some DAP Dynaflex 230 once the new lens is put in place. And speaking of new lens, I ordered this last night from McMaster-Carr, and it's crazy how fast I can get things from McMaster-Carr. I'll open it up here in just a second. It's a gray tint and is 24 by 24. The lens that we're replacing is 20 and about 9/16, something like that, and kind of gray in color. I'm hoping that the new one will be a little bit darker than that, but I'll open this up here in just a second. I'm only about 80 miles from McMaster-Carr. They're in Elmhurst, Illinois, so anytime I order stuff from them, I pretty much always get it the next day. It's fantastic. Okay, let's see what we got here. I did just recently order another piece of acrylic from McMaster-Carr in bronze. That was for the front stateroom cabinet. And this is the exact same stuff, just gray. The other one was bronze. So here's our new sheet, 24 by 24. Obviously, we'll peel it back and we'll take a look at the gray color after we get it all trimmed and cut down, but good to have that here. Okay, one thing I definitely need to do before putting the new lens in is to drill this hole out. We're going to drill it out for the new gas struts. They're going to be installed once we get it back up on the boat. The threads are 8mm by 125, and 8mm 125 threads require a 17/64 bit. So we'll get this hole drilled out. This is a solid piece of aluminum, by the way. Okay, now I don't have the gas struts here. They're up on the boat. I don't remember exactly how deep they need to go, but I am going to make sure and go plenty deep enough to get them threaded in all the way. Okay, that's probably good. If I need to throw a washer or something on it, I can do that. Okay, we're going to do the threads, and I'm just going to put a little drop of oil on 2 of the flutes. Let that oil run down both sides. And then we just dart them out. Just be nice and straight. Once we start getting some grip, we will back it out just a little bit to clear the chips, just like that. Carefully back it out so we don't cross thread. Okay, there's all the aluminum that came out in order to thread 8mm 125. All right, last thing I'm going to do tonight is just to trace this out. We've got the old lens. Oh, that's actually kind of domed a little bit. Let's turn it over. Huh. All right, well, we'll get the old lens sitting on top of the new piece of acrylic. The new lens, make sure we're flush around the edges here and here. And then I'm just going to draw a line right on the paper. All the way around. All right. This piece is officially garbage, but I'm not going to throw it away. I am going to keep this, just stash it in the back of the garage here, just in case this ever breaks. I still have a template for another new piece. So here we have our lines drawn for the new piece of acrylic, and this piece is 3/16. The old piece is 1/4, but acrylic is super strong. I think what I'll do is double up the butyl rubber around the base of where this is going to bed down to raise it up just a little bit. So a little bit thinner, but not worried about it. Acrylic is super strong, so it will work just fine. So what I'm going to do is take a jigsaw and rough cut around the line here, and then set up my router to well, I guess actually that other piece is not trash yet, because I am going to have to use it with the router I'm going to clamp the two together, use the router to get the exact shape. So, but I'm going to do that tomorrow or the next day. It's just about time for a Packers game, so go Pack go. Check back in on this project tomorrow. Well, all my patio furniture is put away for the year, so you're not going to have the best view of this, but I've got this set up to do the jigsaw cut. Just going to be a rough cut fairly close to the line, and then I'll clean it up the rest of the way with the router. So I'm going to have to set the camera over here. Yeah, not the best view. All right, well, let's take a look at what the actual color of this is. Let me peel some of this off, and I'll show you. I guess I can take this stuff off. So this is the first time I'm getting a look at it, so hopefully we like it. Oh yeah. That's a nice tint. I think that'll work good. All right, now I got to set up the router, which is here. I'm gonna have to set the depth. I've got this set pretty deep, and I also got the plate set at an angle. So we'll get the old Ryobi set a little bit shallower. Got an adjustment right here. I can bring the plunger or plunge it down a little bit. So got some adjustments to do to get that set up, and then we'll use the old lens as a template and get this thing ready to glue in. All right, I've got the old lens clamped to the new lens. This is a 1/4 inch, this is 3/16, so I set the depth of my router to 3/16 on the blade, and then this will catch the edge of the old lens here. So I'm going to turn this over so that the old lens is on the bottom, so it's used as the guide, and we'll just trim this little bit of edge off here all the way around. created a really interesting cutoff. You see the ground here is covered in these tiny little shavings as they came off the router. That's kind of cool, unexpected. But I've got the new sheet, the new lens cut exactly the same size as the old lens. So we'll take this back inside and clean it up a little bit more. Be ready to glue here shortly. Let's get this thing unclamped without spilling my drink this time, because I spilled my drink when I was clamping this all together, and that did not make me happy. All right, obviously I use cheap clamps for this because I don't want to risk cracking the acrylic with higher pressure clamps. So those plastic ones work great. Here's the old lens. Last time we'll see this nasty looking crazed lens. Here's our new piece. And everything is nice and smooth around the edges. Looks really good. So obviously gonna have to pull the paper off of this pretty soon. Waiting as long as possible just so I don't scratch it. It is acrylic, it's not Lexan, so it doesn't scratch as easily as Lexan does, but I still want to try to keep it as nice as possible before it goes back on the boat, because I'm sure it'll get scratched when it's on the boat, but I mean, for now, let's keep it looking good. So my butyl rubber tape should be here momentarily. Amazon is delivering that this afternoon. So as soon as that gets here, we'll get things set up to start gluing this in. All right, well, I got the butyl rubber, and this stuff it's a tape. If you haven't used it before, it's just a tape that you lay it down, peel the backing off, and then cut it with a knife, which I need to get my blade. So this flange here is 5/8, and this butyl rubber is 3/4. So what I'm going to do is just run a piece of tape, a bead, all the way around, double layer it so I get 3/16 thick. It's 1/8 inch wide tape, and then I'm going to use a test piece to make sure that I have enough height for the lens so that I don't create like a bowl for water to sit in. The lens has to be a little bit higher than the edge of the frame. So I'll run the butyl rubber around the flange twice, and then I'll turn it upside down and trim it so that it doesn't overhang the flange there. And then I'll do a test piece to make sure I have enough height, and then we'll stick the lens down. So I probably won't show all this, but just show you how I get started here. And it's sticky, but it's not like, it doesn't really stick to your hands terribly. So I'm just gonna take the paper off because that'll be easier to see. Your fingerprints aren't going to ruin it. Okay, so that's how it goes down. I'll go completely around the frame, and then we'll get the camera back on after I have 2 layers put on. Here is the butyl rubber. Got a nice bead all the way around, 2 layers. Well, I've arrived at the point of, we'll call it no return. So I've got the one side of the paper peeled off, and we're gonna lay it down. I did end up doing 3 layers of butyl rubber tape, just to make sure I get the correct height on the lens. So there's gonna be a little bit of squeeze out. I'm actually gonna trim the butyl rubber after I lay this down and get it sealed from the top. So we more or less get one shot here. That looks about right. Okay, that is down. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it over. Put some really decent pressure on it. There, got some decent squeeze all the way around. And I do have, you can see I have a probably 1/16 or so of raised lens. And I'm gonna go fill this gap with black silicone. All right, take this other side off. That looks beautiful. All right, so now I gotta tape the edges and put a layer of tape around the lens as well. And I can actually see where there's some bubbles here and there, so I can push those out easily. But I think we got a pretty good seal all the way around. Got everything masked off, and I've got a very narrow channel here, about 1/8 of an inch wide all the way around, and I need to put some black silicone into that channel. So I'm going to squeeze it in with the gun, and then use a scraper to make it look pretty. So hopefully this goes well and I don't make too big of a mess. And here we go. Okay, I think this will turn out pretty good. I'm a little bit concerned about this piece of tape being underneath the silicone, but I think it'll probably just pull out from underneath it, and I'll still have a good seal between the lens and the frame. We'll see what happens when it dries. It is the next day, and I've got actually put 2 beads of black silicone down. The first bead ended up being a little bit concave because it sunk down into that channel a little bit. So this morning I put on another bead. It's not cleaned up yet. You can see I still got a little bit of roughness to clean up, but haven't scraped off the the edges yet. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn this upside down. And it must be noon. Go ahead and turn this upside down, fold the towel, so I have support pushing on the glass, because this is not yet cured. It's been about 3 hours, I think, since I put it down. But you can even see as it dries, even the second layer is going to have a little bit of a concave surface to it. But this second layer is not going to be enough to capture water, which is the main thing I want to avoid. So we'll get this turned over and then run the bead on the inside, and this project will be wrapped up, other than reinstalling it. Everything is masked off. My plan for this is pretty simple. Executing it might be a little bit more difficult than I'm thinking it will be, but this is going to be a fairly thick bead, and on the silicone instructions on the cartridge, It says that the best size, most efficient bead is 3/8. This is going to be probably closer to a half. I think it'll still be fine. I am going to get, you know, when the silicone dries, I am going to get some shrinkage, so I might see some of this butyl rubber bleed through, show through, but I don't think it's going to look terrible. This isn't even really necessary. It just looks better. I mean, it's already sealed from the butyl rubber and the silicone on the outside, but adding this extra fillet on the inside is just going to add some additional waterproofness, watertightness, and it's going to look a lot better. At least I hope so. Okay, I've got the silicone ready. I do want to mention also that I took one of my spatulas and cut off a 45-degree angle on both corners. I'm going to use the smaller cutoff. Once I get the bead down, come through and just smooth it out. I need to get, it'd be helpful if I had the cleanup rag ready. And this is just a strip of paper towel that I'll use to wipe off that spatula or scraper or whatever you want to call it. All right, so let's get to laying a nice big fat bead. I'm gonna let this sit for just a little bit to get just a little bit tacky, and then I'm gonna pull the tape off. You can see the butyl rubber is showing through right there, but otherwise it looks pretty good. There's a little bit over here that might show up, and of course it is gonna shrink as it dries. But the fillet looks pretty good. Didn't do anything underneath the dog latches, just because I want to make sure that those can operate as they're intended to, and the seal there is good anyway. So give this just a little bit, maybe a half hour or so, and then I'll pull the tape off. Okay, I've already started taking some of the tape off, and we'll just continue to do it the rest of the way. We have a little bit of curing that's already started here. And of course you don't want to wait too long, so you don't want to peel off the silicone. Well, it isn't perfect, but I think it looks good. The areas where the screws for the gas struts will go are clear on both sides. I saved the Bomar name from being covered up. And the fillet is uniform all the way around. And I think that's the main thing in making it look good from the top. We just gotta let this sit and dry, and we'll see how it looks after the moisture comes out of it, shrinks up a little bit. But I think this is gonna look good. It's gonna end up with a little bit of a concave finish to it. So, should look nice. Well, the hatch is now officially done. I've got a nice bead that goes all the way around. And the best part about this is when you lift this up, it gives a really nice black flange all the way around. Looks awesome. And I cleaned up the edges of the outside silicone, so everything looks great. This looks so good. I am absolutely thrilled with how this came out. I gotta clean it up. I mean, it's still got a little bit of tape residue, but I mean, the finish of the silicone on the outside, the strip of black here that shows through from the butyl rubber and the silicone on the inside just looks awesome. I really, really like this. So next segment of this video will be back up at the boat when I reinstall the hatch, and I'll show you the finished product. But sitting on the bench here, man, it looks awesome. So when we last left off with the hatch, it was finished in my garage. and I have brought it back to the boat. So we'll remove the towel that's just been keeping dirt and dust out of the way, and we'll get this hatch reinstalled. I got to drill 2 holes and tap those for the struts. These are going to be gas struts, so there's not going to be an intermittent setting for this hatch, but I think it'll work just fine. So it'll either be fully open or fully closed. But let's get this thing reinstalled. All right, time to drill holes. I did go around the entire thing and clean it up. Just had some dirty, mossy stuff all around it, so it looks real good and clean now. I marked my drill bit so that I don't penetrate through the backside here. This is a solid piece of aluminum, so I'm only going to drill that far, which actually isn't going to give me enough depth for those threads to go in, so I will have to put some washers or something on the threads to get them to space out correctly. But get my towel down here to catch aluminum chips. And I think that's deep enough. Scoop my towel over and do the other side. All right, the old thread's drilled out. Now we'll tap the new threads. Okay, once the threads start, just like earlier in the video, we'll back them out just a little bit to clear the chips. And these aren't going deep enough to worry about oil, so I'm not doing any tapping or drilling oil on these. All right, we are ready to install some gas struts. I think first thing I'll do is get the window, the hatch lens reinstalled back on the mount here. And it's these 4 screws come back out. Okay, let me get the struts. Okay, I was just down there looking at the struts, and I'm thinking I won't need a spacer if I just put a jam nut on. Yeah, that'll work just fine. Put a jam nut on either side. Just thread this in. All right, well, here we have the new hatch. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see. Whoa! That's awesome. Man, look how good that hatch looks. I mean, it's just, it's beautiful. It's like brand new. So super happy with that. All right, I'm gonna close it from the inside. I'll be right back. Bye-bye. I am super thrilled with this. Take a look. That looks freaking awesome. Super clear. Got awesome gasket sealing all the way around. A little bit dirty, obviously. Haven't cleaned it, but man, that looks good. I am so happy with that. All right, clean it up. Time for a picture. Close this video out. Thanks for watching this episode of the Wisco Boater channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, send me some comments, and if you want to be notified when I post new videos like this one, hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time on the Wisco Boater channel. Happy boating, everybody.